Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Not a Roadrunner. So today, basically, we developed a problem. So we are leaking. The transmission is leaking, but it's only on flat surfaces. So when I took it swimming the other day, parked on flat, it leaked. When I took it to the car meet, parked on the flat, it leaked. So it's fine on my drive and it's not ruining the driveway, but it is something we need to fix because obviously we can't have it leaking everywhere that we go. It's not tons, but it's enough that it's bothering me. So what we're going to do is, apparently the main seal can leak if it's slightly overfilled. So I've bought a dipstick. We're going to put the dipstick in, the new one, because obviously before we lost the dipstick, so we've got a whole new tube. It's a locking one as well for, like, you know, if I ever decide to race this thing. And basically we're going to replace that. Then we're going to check the fluid level to make sure it's not that. And then if it's not that, then it may end up being pulling the transmission out again, but hopefully it is just the level. So we're going to go and we're going to install that. So let's get to it.
So step one is to jack up your car and chock your wheels so we can access the transmission underneath.
Now I'm not sure if you can see this, but right there, that little glistening spot, that is transmission fluid, which shows that it is leaking. But this car's been parked for like a week, so that in a week is not a lot, but I think it's mostly because it's leaning back, because our driveway is sloped this way, so all the transmission fluid has gone to the back of the tranny. So as you can see here, that is where we're leaking from. Now I didn't think we were actually leaking from the dipstick anyway, which is here. But I'm going to take this cover off just to make sure nothing's broken in here, to be honest.
So to remove this cover is nice and easy. It's only 4 bolts. I think mine actually only had 2 in it, which is, you know, very convenient when you're trying to remove it. Once I removed it, there was nothing cracked or missing underneath, which is always a good sign. So I popped the cover back on and moved on to our original task of changing the dipstick. So to remove the dipstick is actually really simple. You just remove the bolt that is attaching it to the transmission casing and then pull it up and out, and then you pray to God that it doesn't pour transmission fluid everywhere. Now you do not have a lot of room and this bolt was a lot longer than expected, so this was a whole process to try and get this undone. So we're going to speed it up a little.
There we go. Look how long that bolt is. No wonder it took so damn long.
So I went for an Allstar Performance locking style transmission dipstick. The locking style is basically so if you're racing it, in case fluid gets that hot that it bursts out the top of your pipe, which now won't be able to happen because it seals at the top. I actually purchased this in the UK, so it was from Alders Automotive, which always hit me up with all the best stuff for my A727 transmission. Also, as you can see at the bottom of the dipstick, there is a lot bigger seal, which is obviously very important because you don't want it to leak, because these transmissions really do suffer from leaking from the dipstick. Just for ease of installation, I decided to remove the dipstick because I didn't want to ram it in the hole and then break off the end of the dipstick or something stupid like that. So I hope everyone enjoys this clip because this is where my stupidity absolutely peaks. So, as this was in prep for a show the weekend coming up, I decided that I couldn't afford to drain all of the transmission fluid because I couldn't actually get any in time to refill it. So the plan was I'm going to pull the other one out and shove the new one in with minimal spillage of any of the fluid possible. So let's see how it goes. So now that you've seen what not to do, I would honestly advise just draining it and getting some new fluid, which I probably am going to end up doing anyway, but this was obviously in prep for a show, so I did not have time to do that at the time. However, I did think this could work in my favour because obviously the whole reason why we're adding this dipstick is because we think that the transmission is slightly overfilled, so a loss of a little bit of fluid is not going to cause us any harm. So as you can see here, that seal is a lot better than the little O-ring that is on the original one. I've bolted up at the top, and now we just need to add the dipstick, run it, and then check the level. Before dropping the car down, I did actually run it on the jack stands just to make sure that it wasn't going to spurt fluid from the dipstick, because obviously we don't want to do that, because then we'd have to jack it all back up again. So now that we know we don't have any leaks, I lowered the car, put it into neutral and run it on flat ground until the front pipes heading to the cooler were nice and hot. That's when you need to check your fluid level. I'm not sure if everyone else has the same issues, but genuinely my dipstick location is in the most pain in the arse spot known to man. So if you have any tips for making it more accessible, hit me up in the comments. So as you can see in this video, it's actually really hard to tell where the level is, because obviously where the fluid has got hot, the viscosity has gone down, but I think where the level is now should be about just right.
And that concludes today's episode, guys. So I got drenched. That's the first thing. Second thing is, it was really hard to read the dipstick. I might change the fluid. Hopefully it'll be slightly more prominent on the dipstick. But from where I could tell, you couldn't really see it in the video, but where you can tell is it was wet. The dipstick was wet right up until the middle point when it was nice and hot. So I'm going to class that as a win. I need to take it out and basically to make sure it's still shifting right. But the leak stopped, which is always a bonus. So I hope you enjoyed that episode, guys. Please like, subscribe and share, and I will see you in the next episode. Cheers, guys.